Welcome to another episode of Inspired Voices. My name is Oliver Riera, and this is Jamon Glover.
What's good, Oliver? How are you?
How do you use my radio voice on
I
that?
love that. Had heard that before.
Right? Why don't you tell everyone what you do?
Well, first off, hello, everyone. My name is Jamon Glover, as just stated. I'm an author and a coach, but not an athletic coach, although I have coached in my past. But this coach is a little bit more specialized in where I work with fathers and parents in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You coaching? Yeah, because you obviously look like a wrestler. You wrestled, right?
I wrestled. I was a wrestling coach for a couple years. And
A coach?
Coach, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you were a coach.
Yeah, I wrestled when I was in high school and wrestled a little bit when I was in the Army. And
Gotcha.
my son, 7th grade team, didn't have a coach. And I make my sons wrestle or play sports in general, but wrestling is something I think every kid should learn how to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so they didn't have a coach, and I was busy, but I found
I know
the
your
time.
schedule, yeah.
I found the time to coach his middle school team for 2 years, and it was a success.
What is that like? That's 3 or 6 months out of the year.
3.
3.
And it's the holiday month, so it wasn't as bad.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got into mid-January, it started getting a little hectic.
Yeah, I bet, because that's when the work starts to pick
That's when
back
the work
up.
starts to pick up. Yeah.
I know you do a lot with fatherhood and all that
Yes.
stuff. Is that come from like your childhood? How was the childhood with your father growing up? Because I feel like you're very disciplined
I am.
or driven. I think
Definitely
both.
driven.
Both. Yeah.
Definitely driven, and there's a lot of discipline in there as well.
Yeah.
My father has been there as long as I can remember. I mean, I would say since day one, but my father and mother didn't get married until I was about 3.
Mhm.
And my earliest memories, probably maybe 5, 6. And my dad was come from a very poor family.
Yeah.
So it was all about saving and being intentional about how you use the lights in the house, and the grass has to be cut, and all of these things. And so
So you grew up like in a military home, I guess you could say?
you can
Kind
say
of like I did.
I thought my dad was a drill sergeant for
Yeah.
a long time, and then I realized he never was in the military.
Right.
He was a stickler for what
I
he
said
was
the
a
same
stickler
thing.
for, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's hilarious, man. Yeah, my dad was the same way. It was tough, but it created that like taking risk in life, I guess you could say, in a way. But it also created some discipline and self awareness to the things like my dirty clothes and on the floor or anything like that.
Yeah. My dad had this crazy rule where we couldn't even sit on our beds. Once we made them, we couldn't get back on the bed until we were getting in the bed.
Damn. So no
Yeah.
naps or anything.
What's the nap? You tired? Go outside to find some work to do.
Right. Yeah. Wake yourself up.
That's it.
That's funny. So growing up, you were pretty disciplined. Well, I mean, how was it with your father? Was it?
It was discipline for me was more of a survival
Yeah.
technique.
Okay.
My dad was. I'm the 8th of my dad's 12 children,
God damn, dude.
and so my dad, he was. It's complicated because for years I saw my dad through my mom's eyes.
How's that?
They didn't have a happy marriage.
Okay.
And so when my dad would be going to work, my mom would complain about him and she would talk about him. And I would hear all these messages about your dad isn't this or he doesn't do this.
Interesting.
And then when you compound it, he was a strict disciplinarian as well.
Yeah.
So when he would come home, if something was out of place, it was something. If he had a bad day, then it was taken out on me. And the caveat is he didn't think I was his kid quite a few years.
Yeah.
So you can imagine he was harder on me than probably he needed to be or he should have been.
Right.
So that's why when I say it was a survival thing for me, it was, okay, if I do everything right, I can make him happy or I can please him.
Yeah.
And life will be better. And that's kind of where
So did you pretty much have to like walk on eggshells on that point?
I still have cuts on my feet to this day. I have scars that are still there from all the eggshells that I broke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
It
Yeah,
is.
I kind of had the same thing. Walking on eggshells. But the thing is, like, how's that make you feel? Like, because I've had the situation where your mom talks crap about your dad, and it's like getting to the point like, oh my god, it's like I don't know how to take that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how did you take it?
I mean, as a child, your mom, she's the one that you lean most heavily on.
Yeah,
And
because my mom was like the protector too.
yeah, and so you get her, you get mother's influence, you get their thoughts, you get their habits. I mean, a lot of things you pick up from mom, and if the only other person that you depend on, she's downing for whatever reason, maybe deserved, maybe not, you tend to go along with it, and you start to see things that way.
Yeah. So that means like what, like resenting your dad and pretty much, were you rebellious at any point?
It took me
Pushing
a
his
while.
buttons?
It took me a while. I was afraid of my dad for quite a few years because he was, like I said, a really strict disciplinarian. If he believed in the motto, spare the rod, spoil the child, or children ought to be seen and not heard. And so I had my little room and my little corner that I stayed out of his way. When he was home, I went straight to the room. I stayed out the way until my name was called.
Yeah.
And so in a lot of ways, it made me very timid.
Mm-hmm.
Made me really...
Were you talking to yourself a lot? Oh, no, well, you had siblings, right?
I still do. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, the siblings that came after me, my mom's children, they were 5 and 7 years behind me. So for the first probably 10 years, I had nobody to really talk to outside of my cousins.
Right.
So it was...
I think that's where it comes from.
Probably,
right?
yeah.
Because I do the same thing. I think that's why, luckily, my dad, I don't know how he agreed to this, but he let us use the camcorder.
Oh.
And so me and my sister would just stay in our bedroom and just like create like little videos and stuff like that.
Wow.
And there's just a lot of goofing off, like Jim Carrey type of things, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, just to get my outlet out there.
Yeah. My dad was very similar. My mom bought him a camcorder for either Christmas or Father's Day one year. And he would take this camcorder and he would go to church and he would record the sermons. He would record the choir anniversaries. And, of course, he needed a helper to carry bags. So he would be like, hey, come help me do this camera today.
Yeah.
And so that was my first little taste into that video production space. And then I would save my little allowance up and I would buy me those little cameras that you spin, I would get those.
The disposables?
The disposable ones, yeah. Oh, it was the Kodak, right?
The Kodak, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I would take pictures of everything and everybody. And
oh, so you were a little photographer when you were little.
I was.
Interesting.
I had 1,000 pictures. I wasn't in any of them, of course, because I was doing all the taking. But I found my creative space in that. And then when I think he started realizing he was putting hands on me a little too much. So then it went to like long punishments. So I have 2 weeks on punishment and all I can do is read or write or sometimes 30 days depending upon what I did. Yeah. So I had a lot of time by myself and it was interesting.
Yeah. So is that when you picked up the camera even more?
No.
When you had punishments?
I could do nothing.
Nothing at all?
Read or write.
Damn.
Read or I have great handwriting to this day because I wrote a lot. I will do a lot.
Oh, he made you do those kind of things? Oh, man. Yeah.
I'm talking like 1,000 times. Right. I'm going through 30 sheets of paper writing. I will not lie. Damn. I will not
get hand cramps at 8 years old.
Yeah, so it was it was an interesting experience.
My parents tried to ground me and stuff like that. I got hit like every day pretty much.
Yeah.
But grounding was never their strong suit. And like one time they grounded me for 2 weeks and a week went by and then they forgot and I was like, oh yeah, it's been 2 weeks already. And so I was like, oh, okay, I don't know. And then back to trouble.
Yeah. That's the problem with groundings. 'Cause you kind of become the warden and you have to kind of be in the prison as well. And so a lot of parents are like, you know what, that's too much. So we're just going to, all right, don't do it again.
Yeah.
But nah, my parents wouldn't like that.
Yeah. Do you believe in grounding or do you think there's other effective methods?
I believe the punishment should fit the crime. I also believe that past a certain point, it becomes ineffective.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it's something like I think by the time I was like 10, I was almost writing books, and I was getting
With the
getting
same
lost,
words?
and I was learning, and I was learning how to entertain myself.
Mm.
It's like if God forbid I ever ended up in solitary confinement somewhere, I'd be okay for a while.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to going inside myself and imagining and creating in my own head.
So you had to pretty much learn how to do that to be okay with being by yourself.
Yeah,
Kind of forced into it, pretty much.
I was definitely forced into it.
Mm.
And then plus when you feel illegitimate,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's a thing where you feel like you're always in the way, that you are bothered. Nobody fully values you or sees you.
Mm-hmm.
So you try to please, and when that doesn't work, then you start to avoid.
Yeah.
That became my journey. I started avoiding everything and everybody that meant something to me.
Oh, interesting.
So I became an isolationist at an early age.
Like how early? Like, are you talking about like?
I'm talking like 7, 8, 9.
Oh wow,
Early.
That's early.
Yeah, early.
Yeah.
And then when I hit about 12, 13, I started becoming rebellious.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I became isolated pretty much when my mom and my sister had to go back to Venezuela. And so I didn't see him for 2 years. And like
Wow.
my mom was like my protector, right?
Yeah.
From my dad and stuff like that. So, yeah, that I had to grow up fast then.
Yeah.
We got into your relationship with your dad. How was the relationship with your mom? Was it kind of basically the opposite? I know you told me a little bit already.
It wasn't so much opposite. I mean, when my mother and father got together, my mother was 14, 15 time frame. My dad was 24-ish, so she was just a baby, really, you know, herself. And I like to say she had some very schizophrenic moments or some serious cognitive dissonance, because in one space, I'm her firstborn child.
Right.
Well, she wanted a girl first. So when I came out and then I had things swinging, she was just like, "Oh, this is not what I ordered." And then the man that she's madly in love with is denying me.
Mm-hmm.
So on one hand, I'm the joy and the love of her life, but on the other hand, she regrets just a little bit because it didn't go into the fairy tale.
Right.
So it was very mixed feelings. And because of my mother's upbringing, she was very protective, but also she could be cruel with her words. So it was like I had one that was physically abusive and the other one that was mentally abusive. But then I get a big hug and a big kiss like 30 minutes later, and you know, I'm sorry, and the tears, and you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was just like, okay, didn't know what to do with that.
Yeah, it's contradicting, right?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's a lot. I used to. Once upon a time I couldn't tell the story because I hadn't healed from it. I hadn't really dealt with it.
Mm-hmm.
I just, like I said, when I became rebellious, I disavowed all like feelings and emotions, and
Yeah.
I just started fighting a lot. I went into the streets a little bit more.
Doing drugs?
Never doing drugs, but always around the drug dealers.
Mm-hmm.
I was, you know, at 10, 11, I was the little kid carrying the pack in his backpack to the house, you know, a couple blocks over.
Right.
I was that kid. Or I was the one in there that was one, never really wanted to be in the gang because my dad found out I was in a gang.
Right.
But I was always hanging with the gangs. And it gave me a sense of protection, a sense of brotherhood.
Yeah.
But I always knew that that's not the life I really want to live.
Yeah. It's only Did you think it was only temporary at the time?
I won't say it wasn't.
In a way?
It was another contradictory thing, a cognitive dissonance moment in me, because I was in church every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm hearing about the goodness of God and, you know, love thy neighbor and, you know, and I'm in the little junior choir, junior usher. And so I'm really involved in the church, and we doing a lot of things all the time. And then in school, my dad was respected in the community. My mom was respected in the community. And so when people would see me out there, I would be like, oh, I would freeze up because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, it's gonna get back that I'm out here.
Yeah.
So I was always like 1 foot out, 1 foot in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't grow up in the projects. I grew up like across the street from the projects.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was on a porch, I was good. But if I strayed too far down the street, it was, hey, I'm gonna tell your daddy what you doing down here. So
So there was always that fear of your parents are going to find out kind
Yeah.
of thing. And then the reputation and all that stuff.
yep, because the one thing you didn't want to do in my house was embarrass the family.
Mm-hmm.
And
Especially
that-
when they're involved with the community, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to be an embarrassment. Like I said, I wanted to please.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make happy, or I just kind of fade to the back.
Yeah.
So I picked up a bad habit of not standing out,
Mm.
and I just blended. I became
Ooh.
the wallflower.
Yeah.
And to this day, I still have to fight through that sometimes because I've done it so long. It's so second nature to me.
Do you tend to mimic other people in order for them to, to be cool with other people? You
I
tend to do
used
that?
to. I used to.
Yeah.
But when I hit middle school, I stopped caring. I stopped caring. I didn't want to be like anybody else because I started noticing all my heroes were starting to just fall by the wayside. They were just
Oh, interesting.
guys I would look up to.
Mm.
It's like they would just fall over in a ditch somewhere. They'd do something that was really stupid or embarrassing or not particularly respectable.
Yeah. So what'd you do at those moments? Did you just, nothing?
I secretly kept hoping for the next hero, but I found a cheat code and I just started befriending older guys.
Interesting.
Guys, 10, 15, sometimes 20 years older than me. I would just kind of hang around and I kind of soak up game and what they were talking about. And eventually they would start including me. And then it became, hey, come here, young blood. Let me tell you about this. Well, what you know about girls, or what you know about life, what you want to do when you grow up. You can do anything, but you got to make a decision. You got to go chase it. And I would get all these little gems, but I was too young to really understand most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then came the Army or National Guard, right?
Yep, the National
Army,
Guard was
National
first.
Guard.
Yeah.
How'd you get into that? Why'd you get into that?
I only got into the National Guard as a means of escape.
Mm.
When I was 15, 16, me and my father, I joined the wrestling team. I was already playing football, but I joined the wrestling team. And I've always been strong. I've always been genetically strong. Never really had to work out a whole lot. I can go to the gym and work out for 2 weeks and it look like I've been there for 3 months.
Mm.
Or I could not go at all for 2 years and people will swear I'm in the gym every day.
Yeah.
So my sons are that way. They're slimmer version of me, but they got the muscles and everything, and they don't even hardly work for them for real. And so me and my dad got into a fight one night at 15, 16. He came into the room, and I was sitting on the bed one. But also, he had some kind of bone to pick with me. I don't even remember what it was. But he stepped toward me, and I took a step forward.
Oh, shit.
And then I didn't take a step back like I normally would.
Yeah.
And I took a step forward out of habit because I wrestle, right?
Mm.
I'm playing football. I'm the captain of my middle school football team, or my middle school football team. I'm the only freshman to make varsity in a 4A league. And, I lost my fear of people.
Yeah.
And then running around the streets, I realized, you can't be afraid out there.
Mm-hmm.
And got into it. He was like, oh, so you grown now. You a man now. I'm going to show you what it's like to be a man. I whooped his butt that night.
You did?
I whooped his butt that night.
Damn. Like what? Like wrestling down or something like that?
Yeah.
Or was there fist involved?
It was a couple of slam and some kicks. And
Yeah.
And then once I came to myself, I realized what I was doing, and I made a beeline for the back door. And as I got out the back door, I hit the tree line. I heard pat, 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 pat. He gave me a 21 gun salute.
Damn. Was just warning shots?
I would like to think they were.
Let's hope, right?
They were hitting some trees around me, so I don't know how close they were, but I heard the hits.
Damn.
So I don't know.
That's wild. What'd you do after that? Like you ran off and then what?
I stayed gone for maybe 2 days, but then I didn't have any money. I didn't have any clothes, and I was borrowing my cousin's stuff and trying to hide because he was looking for me. But I finally said, you know what? I'm going to go home and see what happened. So I went home, Walked in the door. He wasn't there. My mom was there. And she was terrified. She was mad. And why'd you do that? And, And then I heard the truck pull up in the yard. And I'm just sitting there, heart racing, throat dry. Because I'm like, am I going to die today? Is this where it ends?
Yeah.
And he came in. He put his little work bag down. Came into the room. Sat on my bed. And I'm standing up against the window just like. He said, I apologize. He said, I did back you into a corner. He said, I'll take the heat for that one. He was like, and I underestimated you. He said, that won't happen again. He said, but if you ever put your hands on me again, I'm going to take you off the planet.
Damn. That's crazy. He apologized, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
That was the moment when things changed. Cause
Was that his first apology ever?
Yeah.
That's a big one.
It was. And in the way that he did it, it was just like, I think that was the first time I really started respecting him.
Mm.
And I started trying to understand why he was doing and saying the things that he did. But I still was seeing him through my mom's eyes so much that I know you can't be two big dogs in the house because I'm a big dog now, right?
Right. But like, how did you take that when he said sorry? Because like for me, like the first time my dad apologized, I was like, I didn't really know how to take it. It was very confusing.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, right?
Yeah. It was the exact same way. Part of me wanted to cry and give him a hug. The other side didn't trust it, So I just kind of stood there. It was just like, oh, okay.
Because you start to get those patterns, right? The pattern, it's just going to go back to this, go back to this.
Yep.
That's the only thing that you can really think of at that time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild time.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe a year after that, a friend of mine, he was a senior. I think I was a rising junior. And he was the guy that everybody thought was going to go off to college and, be a doctor or something.
Mm-hmm.
But he had the recruiter talking to him, and he was signing paperwork. And I'm just like, I said, what are you doing? You going to go be an Army doctor or something? He's like, no, I'm joining the National Guard. I said, what's that? And just having the recruiter was coming out of the office. And he said, well, ask him. He said, hey, man, tell him about the National Guard. And so he told me about it. And at the time, I'm just 17. And I was like, he said, you interested in joining the National Guard? I said, I don't know what it is. I was like, but I ain't old enough. I ain't but 17.
Right.
He said, well, if your parents signed for you to go, then you can go.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, well, I gave my address. I said, here's the phone number. Call the house. Talk to them. And if they say you can come over, we talk. And that's what happened. And so after my junior year,
Did
I
he
went
talk
to
your dad or your mom?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, both. They made decisions together.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, they parented mostly well together.
Mm-hmm.
It was more like my dad ruled, but he did listen.
Right.
Yeah, so after that, I signed the paperwork. That summer after my junior year, I went to the basic training.
Yeah. Was that nerve-wracking for you?
Nah.
No?
It was exciting for me.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because for the first time, I felt like I'm valued. I'm a soldier. I matter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a protector. And so it was like it gave me more confidence, I think. It gave me a purpose, something.
Yeah. Which is what men strive for, right? It's to have some type of purpose in life.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Exactly. I think the number one thing men crave or we gotta have is like women need love, men need respect. Respect is our love.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel respected. I was, believe it or not, I was one of the tallest people in my elementary school.
Yeah.
Up until 6th grade.
Damn.
Excuse me, until middle school. Because the height I am now,
Uh-huh.
I was this tall in 6th grade.
Wow.
I haven't grown since 6th grade.
Damn, what the fuck happened?
I don't know. No clue.
It's all that stress.
Everybody was like, man, this guy's strong. He's ripped. He just tall now. He going to be at least 6'3", 6'4". Joke's on y'all.
That's funny. They said the same thing about me, man.
Yeah.
But like once I started like smoking in high
They
school.
said smoking standards of growth.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Maybe it was coffee for me.
right. How's basic training for you? Was it as exciting as you thought it would be?
I really had no expectation. I know what I seen on a couple of movies, and I was expecting drill sergeants to be yelling at me, and and guys would be peeing on themselves, and I'd be laughing at them because my dad was a drill sergeant, so nothing they gonna do to me because they really can't put their hands on me. I don't think so. Nothing they gonna do to me is any worse than what I've already experienced. So I was excited about it, and when I got there the first day, I met 4 or 5 other guys who were in the same program. This is called a split option program. They were all still in high school, and they were all from North Carolina. And so we formed this little wolf pack. And to this day, we still talk to this day.
Nice.
And this was like 94.
Yeah.
And we're still cool to this day.
That's dope.
13th platoon. That's what.
Nice. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man. We had some characters, some good people.
And what did you go in for?
At the time, it was called a 71 Lima, administrative specialist, a.k.a. a secretary.
Oh, so
Yeah.
damn, that's high class.
Yeah,
Man.
right? I had no idea what, oh, you're going to be a 71 Lima. Because in the National Guard, in the Army in general, but especially in the National Guard, whatever unit they're going to assign you to, they have certain positions that they need to fill, like any company.
They assign it, you don't assign.
Well, they tell you what positions they have open.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And so when you go in for your in processing, they look at you look at your ASVAB scores. Yeah, your ASVAB. Look at your ASVAB scores, and they see what range you fall into, and they pick something from that range that your scores fall into. And so I was either going to be in supply, or I was going to be an administrative specialist. That just sounds more cool to me than a supply guy.
Yeah, yeah.
So I said, let me do that 71 Lima thing. I get in, man. It was like, oh yeah, you gonna be a secretary. I'm like, what? No. I need to redo that. This is not what I want to do.
Right.
And I was a 71 Lima, well, basic training. I got teased about it. But then after I graduated high school, and I go for my job training, I'm at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Nothing but women in this field.
Right.
So it was 3 guys in our whole company, rest all women.
There you go.
I was like, you know what? I'm okay right
Yeah,
here.
this job's all right.
I can do this.
This job's all right.
Yeah, and I was that job until I went active duty, and I changed it when I went active duty.
Yeah. What'd you change it to?
Aviation.
Okay.
It was a 68 Bravo or something, but they reclassed to a 35 something.
Gotcha. Oh, aviation. So what? That's the people who read the maps of, oh, there's a plane coming in, and then
That's in the aviation space. I was on the repair side. I repaired the radio systems, navigational equipment, things for like the Black Hawks, the Chinooks, the Apache helicopters.
Damn.
I did all the tech stuff, the rewiring and the installs and stuff.
that's got to be fun. I feel like for someone who likes to maybe fix things and say, oh shit, I did this. You know what I mean?
It was very fun. It was very fulfilling. I learned how to read schematics and just chasing wires and finding flaws, and it was something that really filled the space, the quiet space in my mind, because I was so used to being in my room writing and reading that I could really focus in, and I could just follow these little bitty lines, see the color, look at them on the switch, rewire it, put it back together. It became I got bored with it eventually, but it was fun learning.
Did you ever think that you were, oh, maybe I fucked up and then I'm going to take this helicopter out and it's going to crash?
No, they
That's good. That's good.
The military has a lot of checks and balances.
Okay, good.
So you have one tech on the bench actually working, putting it together. You have another tech that comes back and checks the work. And then the squad leader or the platoon leader actually puts them on the bench and tests them, make sure it works.
Oh, okay.
And then it gets put on the shelf for the pilot to come pick it up.
Damn.
So, because, I mean, you got regular, everyday people out there with a score that says they have the aptitude to do it, but can they really do that job? Mm-hmm. You never know until you get them in there.
Yeah.
So you have to have it.
Triple check.
Yeah.
How long were you in the National Guard for?
I was in the National Guard for two years.
Okay.
And then I went active for 5 more.
Okay, so what does that mean? I'm not familiar with the terms.
Oh, so National Guard is that 1 weekend a month, but you're at home.
Oh, right. Okay, so that's what that means. All right.
The regular Army is when you station at different places around the world.
Yeah. Didn't you go around the world for a little bit?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
My first duty station was Korea.
Yeah.
It was what was it? It was in Wanju. I can't think of the name of the doggone base now.
Was that
But
the
it was
first time
Wanju.
you went out of the country?
First time I went out of the country.
Is it nervous?
Yes.
Yeah.
It
But
was-
luckily you had people around you, right? Like
yes.
other guys.
My first time going, I did. I came home on mid-tour when my daughter was born, and I was going back, and I got snowed in Chicago. So then they bused me to an Air Force base, and I stayed there for like a week until the runway could clear up. Then I caught a military, instead of the commercial flight, I caught a military flight to Seattle, and then from Seattle I caught a commercial flight. And so when I get back to Korea, I'm in a commercial flight.
Damn.
I don't speak the language.
Oh, right.
There are no other soldiers there. I'm walking through the airport. I can't read the signs. I don't even know. I know the name, but I can't say it in their language.
Yeah.
Or I know the language that we have in English, but I couldn't say it in Korean.
Right.
And so it was a journey, man. It was bad.
Were you sweating?
Oh,
Bad,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it was.
I would have been too, man.
It was.
But there's probably some people out there that speak English, right? It kind of helped you out.
No, not. And if they did, they didn't try to help. And my saving grace was that happened to be a Air Force. I think it was an Air Force captain who flew in maybe 2 hours after I did. And I'm standing out front, just by the front doors, just like hoping that a soldier or somebody walked through that I noticed, a transport vehicle, but nothing. And I'm just like, I don't have a number to call anybody because I was supposed to take a military flight into my base. That didn't happen. So this Army captain, this Air Force captain comes in and he sees me. He said, hey, he said, Army, Air Force. I said, Army. He said, you'll be okay then. He said, you been here before? I said, I'm mid-tour. He said, you know where you going? I said, I know we need to go to Seoul, which is where, I'm drawing a blank on all these bases now. But it was in
But
Seoul.
military base.
Yeah,
Right.
military base in Seoul. I said, well, that's where we need to go. He said, well, I'll pay. Oh, I ain't had no money either. I spent all my money at the hotel for that week waiting on the runway to clear up.
Damn. Oof.
And he said, well, I'll pay for the cab if you don't let them run the meter up. I'm like, deal. And so as we were driving, I recognized one tall building. And I said, okay, we go into that building right there. If he veer off, he trying to run us up. We get there, fine, no problems. We get on shore IDs, we get on base. And now I have another problem because my base is 2.5 hours from where we are now.
Yeah.
And I still have no money. So
Yeah.
I got to catch a bus. So yeah, so it was a long journey.
Damn.
Man.
Yeah, that is a long journey.
But I've learned not to be afraid
right.
to the point where I don't take action. And so, because it always works out.
Yeah, it seems like you already knew that.
Yeah,
Just
it always
waiting,
works out.
2 hours
Yep.
outside?
Yep.
Something will happen.
Sooner or later.
Something will happen.
Because I'm not going to go walking down the streets in places I don't know. I know I have that much sense.
Right.
So I'm going to
Yeah.
stay in this area. It's safety in the airport.
Right.
And maybe I'll get lucky. Let's see.
You mentioned your firstborn
Firstborn.
around that time.
Yes. Girl.
That was you were still pretty young at that point, right?
I just turned 21.
Wow.
Yep. Just
Yeah.
turned 21.
How was that
And
news?
It was crazy story. I was in my second school training for aviation, and me and my high school sweetheart, we were engaged, but at this point, she had joined the National Guard, so she was over in
So both of
Virginia
them.
somewhere, and I was in Georgia, and I'm trying to be faithful, and I'm just like, okay, and now I got orders to go to Korea, so I'm just like, okay. What are we doing?
Right.
So I called her to break up with her one day. I was like, look, I said, you know I love you. I said, but we ain't gonna see each other no time soon. Well, maybe once before I leave. So let's just go back to being friends, and then maybe we can pick it up sometime down the road if, you know.
That's smart. It's
I was thinking
too much of a long distance,
Yeah.
right?
And she said, okay, well, that's cool. I'm pregnant. Click. Hung up on me. Smooth hung up on me. And I'm just like, she ain't really pregnant. She just saying that. she has to be joking right now.
Right.
So I paced around the floor for a few minutes. So I went back to the payphone. That's how long ago this was. I had to go to the payphone. And I called her back, and I'm like, yo, are you serious? She was like, yeah, I just found out. And I was like, but I didn't even, I did go home. I did go home for Easter.
Damn.
It's like, dang. Okay. Yeah, so we got married 2 days before I left, going to Korea.
Wait, how long was that from when you knew to when you got married?
About 3 months.
3 months? Wow.
3 months. Yeah, because I'm going, and she's going into the 4th month of her pregnancy. And
At that point?
At that point, yeah, because
What?
she was, you got to be almost a month before you even shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
So 3 months later, I'm getting ready to go to Korea.
Right.
And she's
How was that for you, man?
it's
It's got to be nerve-wracking.
It was, and I never doubted whether the baby was mine or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think it may have creeped in my mind for a minute, but I'm like, I'm not doing that to my child. Mm-hmm. Nope. I said, I'll wait till I get it. If I got questions, we'll do a swab, but I am not finna repeat that cycle.
Right.
And so I'm like, I'm going overseas, and I can't leave her here with no benefits because I can't take her with me because she's not on my orders or anything. And by the time she has to get on my orders, I'll be on the way back home.
Right.
So we got married so she could have the benefits and the health care and everything.
Smart.
Yep. And so my daughter was born. I turned 21 in December. I was in the field, snowing like crazy. And I come out the field. She's born in January. And then I can't go home. So I went over my commander's head and made him really upset. And I still didn't go home for like another week.
Damn.
So me coming back late, because I came back late.
Yeah.
So I was in a lot of trouble for like my last 5 months there.
Right. But you already missed the birthing of
Yep.
her, right? So
Yep.
I guess it was worth it, right?
It was.
Get in trouble?
It was totally worth it. But I think the thing that I didn't realize at the time, but when my daughter was born, because I was on the phone for like 13 hours, international call. It was, the phone bill was like
For the labor?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Like $1,000 phone bill, collect $1,000 phone bill.
Right. Damn.
And so it was the hearing my daughter cry, it did something to me. When I was actually able to see her and hold her, I just felt, I felt like I belonged somewhere. I felt wanted. I felt needed. And that really changed probably the trajectory of my life, my daughter being born.
What was that first initial thought when you heard her cry on the phone?
I gotta protect her. I gotta take care of her.
Yeah. Like you do anything you gotta do.
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything. And it's like, and the cognitive dissonance kind of set in again for me because I'm like, why didn't my dad feel this way about me? And it was a wild feeling in that moment that I had. I'm just remembering that. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a wild emotion that I had. And I was like, well, I'm gonna be the best dad ever. I'm gonna be a better dad than my dad. I'm gonna love my kids. I'm gonna be there for them. I'm not gonna beat them or abuse them. Yep.
How was that? How was the mother at that point?
She was good
when the baby was born.
She was good. My daughter she was breached, so which means she was trying to come out feet first.
Oh wow.
Which is not good.
Right.
So they had to use these long scissor-like things and
kind of like tongs or something.
Yeah, and turn her. I said scissors. Yeah, tongs.
Yeah, I don't want to cut her up.
Tongs is more accurate. And they had to literally turn her around in the womb so she can come out head first.
Wow. Oof. So that sounds painful.
Yeah, it was. My daughter to this day still has a scar on her face right here.
Really? From the tongs?
From the tongs.
Damn.
Yeah. Or the forceps.
Well, right, yeah. It's like salad tongs or something.
Yeah, as if any medical professional, I apologize.
Yeah. Damn, that's wild, man. And then, so you couldn't stay there, obviously, right? Because you were still in the military?
Yeah, I was 30 days.
You just had to see her 30 days?
I was on leave for 30 days. They call it mid-tour leave.
Okay.
So I went home for 30 days.
How was the 30 days? Like,
it was.
Were you, because like as a newly father, and you said like you have to protect her and all that stuff. Like I feel like you were just running around everywhere, trying to get everything done before you had to leave or something like that, right?
Yeah, I was, but my wife, she had postpartum. She suffered from postpartum depression. And what that is after the baby, the chemical imbalance it causes sometimes deep depressions, and sometimes women hurt themselves or the baby, But she lashed out at me. She didn't do anything to herself or the baby, but she wanted no parts of me. It was bad. Yeah. I ended up having to go back to my parents' house and stay That's how bad it was.
Damn.
So I would go see my daughter every day.
You gotta be a patient. Be a patient man.
Yep. That's pretty much what it was.
Was it easy for you or was it hard for you?
It was hard because you know what I just went through to get here.
Yeah.
You know how many feathers I ruffled
Mm-hmm.
to get here. That I even had. Now I'm here, but I'm not there
Mm-hmm.
because you can't stand the sight of me right now. So it was tough.
That's rough.
It was real tough.
Did your childhood come back at that
Oh
point?
yeah, big time.
Yeah.
I'm in a house that I didn't want to be in because I didn't feel wanted.
Mm.
Now I got a family that don't want me.
Yeah.
Bro, it was traumatic, man. You trying to bring up some stuff I forgot about.
I was just thinking. I'm thinking like, how I would, take it and stuff like that. And that's exactly how I would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's got to be tough, man. So
Yeah,
you moved
it
into your parents' house
Yeah.
temporarily for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Damn.
I think I stayed there 3 days before she told me to get out.
Ah,
Yep. 3 days.
3 days.
3 days.
Wild.
Yep.
But you at least got to see your daughter.
I did. I went and saw her every day.
Okay.
I went and saw her every day. And I got a little bit of reprieve when I would either take my mom or my sister with me.
Mm.
Because she wouldn't act up with somebody was with me.
Mm.
But it couldn't be anybody. It had to be certain people. My mom, my sister, she was okay with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got a little bit more time in when they went.
Oh, that's good.
And then before I left, she did allow me to take her with me once or twice.
Mm.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
So after 30 days, you went back. Yeah. What happened then?
I just had to face the music, man.
Yeah.
Flight was delayed, snowed in, no money in the airport. Just told that whole story. And so when I get back to the place where I'm gonna catch a bus in Seoul,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I have no money. It's Friday night, probably like 12:30 a.m. And the buses aren't running, of course. That bus terminal don't open until like 8 a.m. And one thing I do know, Saturday morning, these soldiers gonna shop.
Mm.
So it's a bus coming from Wonju, and it's gonna be somebody from my base there. So I said I just had to wait. So I waited. I walked the parking lot probably 30 times, but it's getting colder because it's January, February time frame.
Right.
And so there was a little like hostel that soldiers could go and stay, but they had no room. They did have one little couch, but that thing you might have well been sitting on one of them old wood chairs and you trying to get comfortable. So I said I'm gonna just go back and walk up to the bus terminal. So I got back to the bus terminal and I'm walking the parking lot again, and I'm just praying. I'm just like, man, how did I get myself in this mess? I need some help. Can you anything, right?
Right.
And I just honked my head, and I looked down, and there's a $20 bill between my feet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I look back up. I'm like, hello?
God? Is
Hello?
that you?
So I step on it real quick. Then I look around to see, okay, did somebody just walk through here and drop this? Because I promise you, I just walked this parking lot 50, 100 times.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I pick up the little $20. I said, okay, well, let me try my luck. I walked back to the little hostel. There was a bed available.
Well, how about that?
So I got 3-4 good hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Walked up to the bus terminal. About 15 soldiers hopped off from my base. They was like, hey, Glover. Hey. Go on, get you some rest now, bro, because Monday, CO hot with you. He been talking about you because you late.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so I went over his boss to leave,
Mm-hmm.
and now I come back late. Yeah, he said, yeah, man, go back, get you some rest, get you a couple drinks in you, because you're going to be on this crap list for a while.
What happens? You get punished somehow, or you wash dishes, or what's going on?
It depends. Like, what happened to me was act of God.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't negligent, or I wasn't AWOL, or because
Right.
I communicated. I called Army Emergency Relief, which contacted them, told them what was going on. So legally, there was nothing he could do.
Yeah, there's a log.
Yes,
Yeah.
I wasn't just out there derelict in my duties. However, because he's the commander, and he had a bone to pick with me,
Mm-hmm.
he could do pretty much what he wanted within reason, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had 3 toothbrushes, and I did a lot of scrubbing tiles, a lot of scrubbing baseboards. I cut a lot of grass.
Yeah.
I painted half a building. I mean, yeah. Yeah, man, I didn't do my job.
Yeah, you got your workout in.
Yeah, Definitely got my workouts in. And when I left, that base was looked immaculate.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he let me off like my last month there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well.
I had 4 months of misery.
Yeah. I bet. That's
Yeah.
nice.
But
I mean,
I
that's
would have done it all over again, though.
Say what?
I would have done it all over again.
Yeah,
though.
man. Yeah, you got to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you have no choice, then
Yeah,
you got to do it.
if you
right?
don't stand for something, and what better thing to stand for than your children?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, nah, I'm not, nah, bro. I'm supposed to be able to go home, and it's time for my mid tour. I should be going home to see my daughter's birth, even though I don't know when exactly she's gonna be born. But the window that I set that we decided would be a good time, she's born right in the middle of that window, and I missed it by a week
Damn.
because he had a brigade ceremony he needed to be at full strength for. And I'm like, nobody's gonna miss me.
Right.
What's one person? He's like, it's my prerogative. You'll be here.
Yeah. Sounds like ego talking.
It was. I said, Roger that, sir. I went straight to the colonel.
Right.
Wrong mistake. Open door policy doesn't always mean open door.
Mm-hmm.
It's open, but you might want to think before you go into that door.
Right.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of military guys going to therapy
Oh yeah.
and them dogging that pretty much.
Yeah.
After you had 1 month left without any punishment, and then you were able to go home at that point.
I was.
And so, like, are you like done with the military at that point, or
No, that was just my first duty station.
That was just
yeah. It was duty station 1 in my first year and a half.
Oh, gotcha.
Because my first 6 months I was in training,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was my first official year
Right.
in that particular job.
And then you had a break. How long of a break was it?
When I PCS'd, I reported to my next duty station 2 weeks later, but then I took another week of leave.
Gotcha.
Just to kind of get housing situated and
Okay.
and
All
move
right.
in. And
So it's
stuff.
not like you could go back home after your 30 days. After that. After
Well, technically I could because I was stationed at Fort Bragg.
Oh,
and so
okay.
I was only 2 hours from the house.
Gotcha.
So it worked out in my
Nice.
favor.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. What'd you do there in Fort Bragg?
I had a lot of drinks.
Yeah.
I met a lot of women,
Mm-hmm.
and I lived a debaucherous life.
How's that? I mean, why is that?
Because before I left Korea, I received a Dear John letter. And she was saying that the marriage was over. She didn't want to be a wife. She didn't want to be a mother. She said, but she had no choice on the mother, but she had a choice on being a wife. She don't want to be a wife anymore. So after that, I was just like, I cried my cry. I was, like, okay, I'm losing the family I thought I had. Now it's gone.
Back to that childhood?
Back to the childhood. And so then I went back on that heartless, I'm just going to do me kind of lifestyle. And I did that for like the next 2 years, I think.
That's a long time.
It was a very long time.
Did you feel yourself like just going down?
Toward the end, I did. I got to a point, man, where I had probably 5 different girlfriends, and they pretty much all knew about each other, but nobody really made any waves. And then I just see the space where I just didn't really care anymore.
Were you numb?
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah.
Definitely numb. I got to the point where I could drink, the MD 2020. I drink 6 bottles of that and don't even be buzzed.
Damn.
I mean, that's how numb I was to everything.
Yeah.
And one night I'm driving to get one of my girlfriends some pizza, and I pull up in the parking lot and I see this woman in this Domino's pizza, and everything in me got excited. And for the first time, I felt something like, "Wow, who is that?" So I go in and I'm trying to introduce myself, and I'm like, "Hi, my name is Jamon. What's your name?" And she kind of looked at me for a second, and she had a daughter. She had a little girl with her. She's probably 1.5, almost 2. And I was like, okay. I said, well, hey, little girl, little mama, how are you? And she looked at me crazy. She looked at her mama. I said, what's your name? and she said, her name, V. I said, well, hey, V. She's like, no, that's my name. I'm like, oh, okay. So mama's talking to me now. Okay. So struck up a conversation with her, and she entered my life. And at that point, the day she entered my life, all the other girls started dropping off.
Really?
No words, no arguments. I ain't even say, hey, I'm dating somebody seriously now. It was just like, they was like, yeah, I'm doing other things now.
Did you deliver that pizza?
I did. I did deliver the pizza.
You dog.
I delivered the pizza. And then the next morning, she called because she wouldn't give me her number, but I gave her mine. The next morning, like 8:30, she calls me. I'm laying in bed, and I'm just like, I look at I have a cell phone by this time. I look at my cell phone, and I'm just like, hello? She's like, hey, this is V from Domino's. I'm like, oh snap. So I'm gnawing my arm off because I got somebody laying on my arm. So I'm just, I'm trying to get away so I can have this conversation. And she was like, hey, I thought you were really nice yesterday, and I do a lot of like thrifting, like yard selling stuff. She was like, there's a flea mall down here. If you're up, you want to come out? I'm like, this is early. I said, I can't do it right now because I got somebody here already, right? I'm like, I can't do it right now. I said, but can we just do like, something at the park later? She was like, yeah, that'd be cool. And 5 months later, I married her.
Damn. God damn, boy. You don't joke.
Yeah, man.
5 months, wow.
5 months, yeah. And
what?
Yeah.
When did that click in where we're like, I'm gonna marry this girl?
It was more a decision. It was a marriage of necessity, I would say, because I didn't know her enough to say I loved her, but that was a strong infatuation. And then she got pregnant, somewhere in the middle of that too.
Gotcha. All right.
And now I'm getting ready to go to Alaska, which is my third duty station.
Yeah. While she was pregnant?
Yeah.
Damn.
And so I'm just like,
So the whole thing's happening
Yeah,
again?
but I said, okay, I made that mistake once. Hey, you want to go to Alaska? I mean, because I already had military housing because of my daughter.
Oh, nice.
So it wouldn't have been hard just to bring her up there with me. She was like, well, I don't know you enough to be driving to Alaska with you. I said, I'm the person you've known this last month and a half. I said, this is it. I mean, for better or worse, this is who I am. And she was like, okay. She said, well, you gotta go. You gotta take me home, meet my parents, but I'll go.
Wow.
So I said, okay.
That's a big decision, man.
It is
for her and you.
Yeah. Yep. It was.
Yeah. So you said you had housing because of your daughter. Mm-hmm. Did your daughter go live with you in Alaska as well, or
eventually? I didn't take her immediately because a new place, childcare, and so it was just a lot happening.
Gotcha.
Plus, her mom wasn't really feeling me taking her to Alaska,
right?
Because that's too far away from her, of course.
Yeah. Right.
So we go up, and she actually leaves her daughter, and then our daughters connected immediately. My daughter was 2. Her daughter was like 18 months. They're literally 8 months apart.
Okay.
So when we were together, people always thought they were twins.
Nice.
So it was just like we had an instant family, somewhat. And then 9 months later, man, I'm 23 years old, my second marriage and 3 kids.
Second marriage, 3 kids.
23.
23. Wow. Man, that's a hell of a life, bro.
I've lived a lot of lives already here.
So from there, was your life pretty much on the up and up? Or was there a time that you ended up going back down? And,
it was stable.
Living in your childhood.
It was stable. My life stabilized.
Nice.
Because I'm with a woman who actually wants to be with me and is not no bones about it. She's ride or die. She knew me 3 months and decided to go hop in the car and drive with me to Alaska. You know? So she was definitely ride or die. And she was a really good mom. Excuse me.
You're good. Thought you were going to throw up.
No. She's a really good mom. And we had a really good first year because everything was new. We were new. The lifestyle was new. The family was new.
The honeymoon phase,
the
right?
honeymoon, yeah. And, everything is still new. And then somewhere in that second year, all the representatives were gone, and you start really seeing who was who.
Child was born at that time, too?
Child was born at this time, yep. And so now you start to really see, who people truly are. And I started noticing as much we have family in common.
Say that again?
We had family in common.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We both loved our family. But outside of that, we didn't like the same things.
Mm.
So I found myself doing things by myself, and she would do things by herself, or she would go with me, and if I needed her, she was always there to support.
Yeah.
But just what we saw as fun, what we saw as entertaining, what we saw as future goals, they were never aligned.
Mm.
They were never aligned. So
Yeah.
we struggled for the next 17 years.
Dude, 17 years
17
of that?
years. Yep.
Wow.
17 years.
It's like, yeah, that's a big thing. If the core values don't match, you
Yeah.
know, it's just not gonna work.
Yeah. And I willed myself. Now we separated probably 3 times, 4 times in that period, because sometimes she would just get so sick of me, or I would get sick of her, or we'd be sick of each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? I need a break. But then a year apart, 6 months apart, 30 days apart, is like, okay, I need to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time
Coming back to that family, right?
coming back to the family.
Yeah.
And I was determined, like I said with my daughter, to be the father that I thought my father wasn't.
Mm.
And how can I be a good father if I'm not there every day?
Right.
How can I know what's actually happening, what's actually going on? How can I imprint my values and my morals and things on my children? You know, and if I do leave, she's a beautiful girl. Some other dude's coming by, and he's probably gonna play stepdad. Is he gonna share my same values? Is he gonna truly love my kids the
Yeah.
way I do? No.
So when you left, did you have that initial thought of thinking about your kids in that way? Or did it take some time, some awareness, maybe a few days, 30 days, like you maybe said,
When I left, where?
when you weren't home? You got into an argument with your wife and you left, right?
Yeah.
For a few days or something like that?
It never took long,
Okay.
and which is why I would always go back. Now, when it was on me, I always went back soon because my value was with my children, and what is it that she really want from me? What did she really want me to do? Okay, can I do that?
Trying to understand her perspective.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna just give her what she wants, and even if I'm not getting what I want, I'm just give her what she wants because I want to be there with my children.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of immigrant parents are kind of that same way, where
Really?
they're thinking about just your kids.
Yeah.
Even though they don't like each other,
Yeah.
they stay together because of the kids.
Because of the
and stuff
kids.
like that. Well,
Yeah.
I guess parents in general, right?
Yeah, in general, but I can see the ties there.
Right. Yeah, because it's new country,
Yep.
and for you guys, new state.
New state, new duty station. And then when I'm out of the military completely, that's when it really started to show. Because the military is so structured. They give you housing, they pay the light bills and the gas
I know
bills, and only bill you pay is really your internet, cell phone, stuff like that. But all the utilities they take care of because it's government housing, it's already paid for.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it was wasn't as much stress. Once I get out the military, however, now all those bills, I get out making the same money I made in the military, but I got more bills.
Yeah.
So now I'm just like, hey, I know you wasn't really working before, but we look tight. You might help me out a little bit. Oh yeah, I'll get a job. Okay, well, I don't get too much into that story, but
Right. But 17 years of that. At that point, you're out of the military. What happened after that? What was the decision to kind of close that relationship out?
we went up and down, back and forth for quite a few years, separation after separation. And then one year, I realized that I had been in somewhat of a 10-year kind of a slump, a depression, if you will, where I just kind of just maneuvered through life. I did just enough to pay the bills, to make the ends meet. I wasn't really aspiring, but I knew I was called to something more. I had this yearning to do something more, but
You know what it was?
I didn't know. I couldn't put my finger on it. I wasn't sure what it was at all. And I know I was just working every day. I wasn't really happy in my relationship. I wasn't happy in my career.
Was that like your lowest right there?
Not
Or
quite,
turn
but
into?
it's sliding down that way. And then I come home from work one day, and my son is at the neighbor playing with his son. Wife calls me and said, "Hey, I'm going to the store. When you get off, pick Junior up, and I'll be home." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I go pick him up, knock on the door. He answers. We greet each other. he moves out the way. My son sees me, and instantly he starts crying. And I'm like, man, shut that noise up, bro. You can come back and play later. You got to go home. We got to cook and stuff now. And I go to pick him up, and he just falls out and screaming. And as I pick him up, he starts screaming, I don't want you to be my daddy. I don't want you to be my daddy. I want him to be my daddy.
Ugh.
And so I dropped him, and I kicked him. Joking. I did not drop him and kick him. I promise you I didn't. But I felt like that's what I wanted to do it. Because I'm like, how dare you, traitor? Do you know all the sacrifices I've made? Do you know how I'm checking all these boxes in my mind? I'm dad of the year every year. So I take him back to the house. I sit him in his little chair, and I give him some Cheerios and going in the fridge, pulling out food. And I'm just like, I'm angry because it's like I did all this to not be my dad, and I still became my dad. I just took a different route, but I'm getting the exact same results.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this can't be life. How did I go wrong? What did I do?
Yeah.
Because it dawned on me, this kid is 4. He ain't concocting no master scheme to hurt my feelings. He's just telling me his authentic experience. He's playing with this kid whose dad is doing obviously way more than I'm doing. At least at the time I thought it's what he was doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, okay. So I'm not gonna be mad at dude. I'm gonna watch him. When I get a chance to be around, I'm gonna just watch and see how he treat his kids, and so see if there's any difference.
Right.
And that was a huge difference. Huge difference. Huge difference. And I'm just like, man, why didn't nobody tell me that? I didn't know. I mean,
was it mostly about the behaviors?
Yeah.
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 I feel like kids especially, they don't learn what you say necessarily. It's more about what your behaviors are.
Yep. Children learn what they live.
Right.
They learn what they live. And what I saw from my father was he was a provider. He was a disciplinarian. He was never a nurturer, though.
Right.
He was never a coach. You didn't get many attaboys and good job, and you didn't get the encouragement, the hugs. None of that. I hugged my dad maybe 5 years ago, and it felt so awkward.
Yeah.
It was like, oh yeah.
I have to force myself to hug my dad.
Yeah.
So I don't get rid of that awkwardness.
Because it was never a thing, right?
Right.
And so that's when the slide happens. And it's so many more stories that I'm going to just skip because we be here for the next 6 hours telling all the stories. But that's when it really started going downhill for me. Because I'm actively watching these other fathers now. And now I'm starting to get a little depressed because I'm not even capable of doing any of that.
Yeah.
I don't have it in me. So it's like the thing that I knew I was going to be good at, I suck.
Right.
And I don't know how to fix it because it's not even a thought to me to do any of this stuff. So what do I do?
Yeah.
And so I went in that drive. And so my first goal was I'm going to just earn more money and I'm going to just buy them stuff. I'm going to just do stuff.
The typical thing that dads do, I guess.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And then I was in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
Didn't work for 2 years. Broke my femur, cracked ribs.
2 years, bro.
2 years. Had 3 surgeries from ankle, femur, and then ankle again.
What happened with the accident?
I had a military injury with my ankle. And so they had to go in and actually fuse the joint. Well,
it's a terrible spot to do that.
Yeah. Very terrible. Well, the motorcycle accident broke the screws.
Ooh.
And so bone spurs, metal, they're going to clean everything out. Damn. Then, of course, the broken femur. And then it knocked one tooth completely out and it broke another one. So I had to go through all this implants and extractions.
Did you have a helmet on or anything?
Yeah, I did. But the way that when we collided.
You got hit by a truck?
Yeah. Hit by a truck.
God.
The handlebars turned and went up under my helmet.
Oh.
It's like of all the things to happen, helmet probably still
the weakest part, right?
Yeah. it probably saved me from having a brain injury.
Yeah.
But yeah, it tore my grill up.
Damn.
Yeah. So yeah, I was laid up for actually it was more like 18, 19 months to be exact. But I was still in a knee cart going into my second year.
Damn. And
Yeah.
not just that you couldn't work, but like the hospital bills.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, the insurance company of the offending party,
Oh, right.
they paid most of the medical bills.
Oh, that's good. I forgot about that part.
But I got nothing for pain and suffering. Because in North Carolina, if you contribute to an accident, the other party is not responsible.
Damn. That's rough.
Yeah. I got a speeding ticket. I wasn't speeding.
Damn.
Somebody said they thought I was speeding, and the cop gave me a speeding ticket. Because the cop parks in that, because it was a company. The cop parks his car there, and that company, I found out maybe a year or two later that the cop parks his car on that company's property. And so he just wrote a ticket. Of course, the ticket was thrown out, but it was written.
Yeah. That's rough.
Yep. So they paid the medical stuff, most of the medical. They paid. They didn't pay the dental. They paid the other medical stuff. Though.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Everything else, savings and credit cards for almost 2 years. So everything that I had, money that I had amassed,
Yeah.
yeah, I watched it all trickle out the window every month. Yeah.
Yeah, which just adds on to your depression.
Yep.
And then 18 months of that.
Yep. And then out of nowhere, my oldest daughter's mom, she's working for this nonprofit, and she calls me and she said, "Hey, my company's trying to start a fatherhood program, but we can't find anybody qualified to really teach it." I said, okay, cool, because by this time we're on good terms. We are co-parenting very well. You know, all the yucky relationship stuff is over, and we were friends in 7th grade, and so we're back to being friends.
Gotcha.
And it was cool.
I guess it makes it easier.
Yeah. And I was like, I said, I don't know anybody off the top of my head. I said, but I'll ask some people if they're interested. She said, "No, fool, you." I said, "Me what?" "I think you should teach it." I said, "You want me to teach a fatherhood class?" She said, "Why not?" I said, "Girl, I'm not that good at it." She said, "You the best father I know."
Damn.
And because it came from her,
Right.
I was like, huh.
Were you shocked?
Yeah, very shocked.
Yeah.
Because I always thought in her eyes I wasn't good enough as a father. Maybe because she actually told me that one time.
Right. In an argument sometime.
Yeah, a long time ago. She said those words.
Yeah.
And so for her to say that, I said, you know what, I need to maybe consider it because I'm broke, one. I need some income coming in. But I had so much anxiety because I'm thinking, what am I going to say to these dudes? And so I went in for the interview, and I said, "Do you guys got like a curriculum or something?" They said, "We have a curriculum already." I said, "Can I see a copy of it or so I can start looking at it?" So they gave me the whole set. And so I went home and I just started studying. And I was just like, oh, okay. Yeah, I know about this. I had to go through that. Oh, okay, maybe I can do this. First class, I hated it. Because it felt like they felt like I was judging them because they were at this fatherhood class.
Yeah,
because some of them weren't there because they just wanted to be there. They was like court ordered to be there.
Yeah.
Second class happened. Third class, it was a little bit better. But somewhere between that third and that fourth class, I started seeing the lights come on in their eyes. And they realized, this guy, he's not judging us. He's truly giving us something that we could use.
Right.
And they would have results when they went home. And they started seeing that their relationship with their children were getting better. Even with their partners or child's mother, it was getting better. And they would come to class more excited. They were happy to be there. And I'm smiling like I'm in rare form. You know, I've never seen myself be this charismatic ever.
Right.
And in that moment, the light came on for me. And it's like the thing that I struggle with the most, the thing that I long for the most, is the thing that I'm supposed to do.
Share your knowledge.
Share my knowledge, share my experience. 'Cause most guys who find themselves in relationships or in marriages and they struggle with the parenting piece, a lot of times it's because the child, one, is seeing the father through the mother's eyes, especially if the relationship isn't good.
Right.
Or the father he never had an example. He never had the tools
Yep.
to understand the language that children speak. Setting a goal, a vision, something that the family can work toward. Anything, if you sowing seeds, but you don't get the weeds out, you don't water it, if you sow it in the wrong season, it's not going to give you the results that you want.
Right.
And so as intentional as you are about gardening, as intentional as you are about getting your resume together, going on job interviews, you have to be that intentional when it comes to your family, especially when it comes to your family.
Yeah.
Because you're growing a legacy. And if you don't tend to this dream, you don't sow these seeds into your children, somebody going to sow seeds into your children.
Yeah. And you don't know what kind of seeds they have.
And you don't know what kind of seeds they got. It could be some bad ideas.
Some abusive ideas.
Abusive ideas. Yeah, it's just, and because those, especially when you're a young parent, you don't have those tools. You don't even think that way most times. You're just trying to build your life, trying to accomplish your dreams.
Yeah.
And you leave your child into harm's way without even realizing it.
You feel like you could do both?
What do you mean?
A parent that wants to strive for their dreams, but also have kids and, working with them and stuff like that.
Very good question. You asking me if you could have it all. Can you be a really good parent and a high achiever at the same time? It is very hard, and most people know. Most people, you got to choose. But there are a few, depending on the field that your career is in, depending on your priority list. If your priority is money, can't do it. If your priority is lifestyle, it's possible. But most people, you don't think lifestyle until you get 30 plus, maybe 40.
Yeah.
When you get 20, you trying to, because you think money is the thing that'll get you everything else.
Yeah.
And it is. But if money is the goal, then any route you take can almost get you as much money as you want.
Right.
But you got to put time. You got to trade that time for it. But if it's lifestyle, then you start to think differently. You start looking at, okay, I want this lifestyle. What careers will allow me to do that? And out of those careers now, what can I do the easiest? What is easier for me to do?
Yeah, or being okay with the pace that you're working at. Right?
That too, yeah.
So maybe you are successful to a certain threshold, but also you have that balance with the family and stuff like that.
That's it.
Being okay with a slow success.
Yep.
In order to have that balance.
But this is America, and we believe in microwaving.
Yeah.
We want to be multimillionaires.
That corporate life.
You know what I'm saying? 3 years after high school or college.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially with men, right?
Yeah. Because as a man, we don't come fresh out of whatever school we're in with our value intact. We have to build ourselves.
Yeah.
Women are a little different. If you a gorgeous 19-year-old, doors open for you because you're a gorgeous 19-year-old. If you're a gorgeous 19-year-old guy, but if your car don't match up, your pockets ain't as deep, if you ain't respected in the community, there's all these hurdles that men have to go through to become successful. At 23, as a guy coming from regular families, you don't have a yacht at 23. But if you're a beautiful girl coming from the poorest family, you could be on a yacht at 23.
Right.
So it's a different dichotomy when it comes to, as a man, how I found value, how I respect myself. Oh man, I started a family a little sooner than I wanted to. So how do I still go get that dream, but still be present and be a good father?
Right.
A good spouse, a good whatever, how do I do it both? And it's hard. It's very hard, but it really depends on what your values are.
Yeah. Yeah. The values and the pace, right? And then how well can the wife or the partners work together?
Yeah,
right?
that matters
Because like
too.
if okay, I'll pick up the slack here if you want to do this, and then I'll pick the slack there. You know, trade offs and stuff
Yep.
like that.
Yep. There's nothing that can take the place of the father, though.
Right.
And so, even if you have a partner that covers you, your presence is required, whether it's son or daughter, but especially if you have a son. Because your son is going to pattern himself after somebody. And as strong and as good an educator as mom is, she doesn't have the manliness or the manhood or the experience of being a man. A prime example, my son, my youngest son, he's 16, and he's a rising senior. He's about to turn 17 next month. He's a rising senior in high school, and he's at the age now where he needs to start learning some things and making some decisions for himself, understanding how to make things happen. You know, you got practice how you get home.
Yeah,
You
start
want a
thinking
job?
ahead, right?
How you gonna get to work? Do you have your list of people that you can call, or have you taken driver's ed yet? Are you ready to drive? But what he has chosen to do for the past couple of years is wait on mom to do everything. And then mom will be mad at me because she's playing Magic School Bus. What I'm saying, what's wrong with his legs?
Right.
Where he want to go was like 3 blocks away.
Yep.
So you're going to drive home 20 minutes to take him 10. Then drive back where you came from. But now you upset with me because I'm not helping you do that. You interrupting the plan. He's going to be somebody's father one day. He's going to be somebody's husband potentially one day. He needs to understand what it means to be a man. That means figuring it out. That means taking appropriate actions. That meaning not so much being in a wolf pack, but also learning how to follow lead. Because it's almost impossible to be a great leader if you've never followed anybody.
Right.
And it's almost impossible to be a great leader if you're not under anybody's authority.
Yeah, that's true. That's very
Yeah.
true. Yeah, a good leader knows when to be a good follower.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so if he's sitting around waiting for you to do something, you are enabling him to be stagnant.
Yeah.
He's not growing. And I'm trying to help him grow, but you're blocking that growth process because it's not the way you would do it. He's a man. He's a man.
So what you're saying is people need to have a very serious and a discussion about making sure we're not, you're not, raising their kid,
Yeah.
and doing everything for them pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. It's now for my daughter, a little different story. I'm still going to give her, okay, did you create a plan? Do you know what you're doing? You checking your surroundings? I mean, I'm giving her all these tools. However, I'm not making her walk three, four blocks, or maybe 3 or 4 blocks, but a mile or 2. No.
Right.
My son, hey, bro, put your running shoes in your book bag. For what? So you can run home. Dad, it's far. I said, it's a mile. You wrestle. How many miles you run in wrestling practice? 2.
There you go.
Can't run a mile home? Oh, I didn't think about it that way. Dad, you take me to the barbershop? It's literally 10 blocks. You can't walk that? I mean, I could, but you can't walk that?
Right.
I'm just ask mom. No, you're not.
Do you think having a job helps with that?
It does. He recently has a job.
Okay. Yeah, because like I've had a job, a legit job, legal job. Well, no, legit. As a work permit, at 14 years old,
Yep.
and stuff like that. And from then on, like 'cause the only reason I wanted to get a job at 14 is because I could spend my own money.
Exactly.
And so, but with that comes the discipline and of going to work on time and
Yep.
all this stuff.
It teaches the one thing. If you don't have this one thing, it's difficult to be even considered a man. Responsibility.
Yeah.
Responsibility is the number one attribute of every man.
Mm.
If you don't desire something, like you hear parents saying, "Oh, my kid is so lazy. My kid doesn't do anything," because there's nothing there that he values.
Mm-hmm.
But buy him a new PS5, get him a 4-wheeler. You think he's not gonna ride it? You think he's not gonna play with it? He values it.
Right.
It's not lazy. It's no value there.
Right.
And when there's no value, there's no responsibility.
Exactly.
And so for me, when my daughter was born, I felt instant responsibility because I valued the relationship that we would one day have, or that we was having in that moment. She didn't know it, but we had a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because I had that value for it, I immediately became responsible for it. And when you become responsible, you own it, good, bad, indifferent. So when her mom was going through what she was going through, I didn't stop. When I came home, I didn't stop. You sure this is what you want? You sure this is what you want? Yeah, I'm sure. Stop asking me that question. No, 'cause I love you. I love my baby. I want us to be a family. You sure? I'm pushing. And you know when I stopped pushing? When I walked into the door one day and she was 3 months pregnant with somebody else's baby.
Oh.
I said, okay, guess that's time. I'm good.
Yeah.
I told you I was done. You right. You told me.
Yeah, that'll get you some
All
relief.
right, I got you. Message received.
Right.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy, man.
Story of my life.
Yeah.
Comedy, tragedy.
Yeah. Well, how many kids you got now?
Altogether now 5.
5.
Yeah.
5 kids. And the youngest is what?
She's 12.
12.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of experience to be talking about fatherhood.
I do, man. 3 biological, 2 bonus.
Okay, gotcha. Do you find yourself still learning
Oh,
how to
every
be a
day.
father?
Every day.
Even though you even teach it.
Sometimes I'll be honest with you. I feel like the biggest hypocrite in the world because things would be great. I'll be coaching and I'm helping these guys, and then the switch flips on the wall and my kids lose all their minds. And then I'm trying to figure out, okay, I need to find me a coach now.
Yeah.
Because humans are the most complicated, beautiful creatures on the planet. And what was good today might not be good yesterday. And so there's stages in every child's life, every relationship. In every stage that you go through, there's a new level, there's a new challenge, and then there's a new victory, and then there's a new celebration.
Yeah.
And then it starts over again as a new cycle.
Right.
So just as soon as you think you got it down pat, get ready.
Yeah, that's life, right?
Yep.
That is life.
Get ready.
I heard somebody say, like, I don't need to learn anything from life. I learned everything there is. I was like, ooh, you got a lot to learn.
Have you died and come back?
Right.
Because hold on. The one thing we can count on in life is change. If things are great, hold on.
Yeah.
It's gonna change.
Yeah.
If things are bad, just hold on.
Embrace
it's
it.
gonna change.
Yeah.
Yeah. But enjoy the ride because we are always trying to achieve goals, and we work so hard to get to the top of this mountain, and then we get there, and then we look up, it's a bigger mountain, and we didn't enjoy the journey up the first mountain.
Which makes you look at the other mountain and say, ugh. Right?
Okay. All right. So now you got to get psyched up. You need all this inspiration. You need this whole fan support group behind you, and they got to root you on. And by the third time you do that, you like, you know what? Hey, young fella, young lady, you better enjoy that trip because, I didn't enjoy it.
Right.
I missed all them flowers I could have been smelling because I was just trying to get to the top of this doggone cliff.
Yeah. That's tough, man, especially when you come from a background of survival and just trying to make something out of yourself and have your parents be proud of you and all this stuff.
Yep.
It could be very difficult for somebody.
It is.
To just be present.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
Yep. And I think, man, my story, even though it's not finished yet, it's definitely a story of resilience. I've had to endure some things that were hard for me and maybe terrible for others. But even what I've been through, there's people who live much worse every day.
Right.
Because I had my father in the home. And the reason I'm probably sitting here today is because he was there. Because my mother couldn't have done anything with me had my father not been present. Because I knew I got to see that dude if I don't make my curfew. I don't get home on time. I got to see him. Maybe not tonight, but I got to see him first thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I got to cut grass. Oh, I can't sit on my bed. All these things that I just was like, but it made me stronger.
Mm-hmm.
It taught me discipline. Like right now, I'm in the middle of a 30-day closing all my rings thing, and my calorie goal is set for like 950, and my stand goal is 12. My workout goal ain't but like 30 minutes, but you got to work out more than 30 to close 950 calories.
Right.
So I kind of left that one there. I never reset that one. But I'm on day 14. I started June 1st. I'm on day 14.
Yeah.
And a couple of days this weekend, I was like, I almost melted in. But I was like, nope, it's like 12. That's like 11:30. I got 100 calories to go, and I got 30 minutes to get it.
Man, I'm like, recently I've been really concentrating on discipline. And it's always been hard for me.
Yeah.
I'll take one day off,
Yep.
But I'm really trying to focus on discipline. And sometimes I still forget about it.
Yeah.
But it's what helps is just taking that first step, like literally the first step to walking towards whatever you need to go.
Yeah.
And then I'm fine. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So, but yeah, discipline is hard.
What
for
helps,
some people.
Yeah, it is hard. It really is hard. That's why it really is an art to discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, like most people, well, I say most people. Some people are money motivated. Some people are relationship motivated. Some people are just feeling. They need to feel something to do something.
Yeah.
I have always been of the mindset that all I really have is today. I've lost so many friends along the way, especially as the older I get. I'm realizing I may not wake up tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But if I do, I want to be able to accomplish something. And if I don't, I want people to say he accomplished something. I want my legacy to outlive me. When I stop, I don't want my legacy to stop.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, and I'm in this space now that what if I knew I'd literally only have 5 more years to live? 60 months from now, what do I want my story to be? Do I want this story to be a tragic tale of a young man who grew up in a family that he didn't feel loved in? A tragic marital relationship? Tragic accidents and bad outcomes in jobs and career? Or do I want this story to be like, he overcame, he created this, he made a path for that, he opened the door for? And with that mindset now, I'm thinking, if this is what I want, I can't take any time off until I get it. But I'm going to smell the roses along the way.
Right.
I'm going to eat good food. I'm going to meet good people. I'm going to enjoy the moments. But if I have to work 14, 16-hour days to turn my dream of having that into a reality, I know they ain't just handing dreams out. You got to earn them.
Right.
And if I'm able to accomplish that and do that, I not only help so many other people, but I set a precedence for my sons, for my daughters, for my granddaughters,
Yeah.
for my friends, anybody that's watching.
Anybody in the world that's watching?
Anybody in the world that's watching. And anybody who is in the path as I'm going, I want to leave something that changed their life. So I don't feel like I feel like I need to be my best at all times.
Yeah. For me, like the fear that I have is not just going the opposite of a failure, doesn't have a family, whatever. It's more about he was in the middle of doing this. He didn't really achieve what he wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
I think that's the most painful part.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you never really achieved what you wanted to achieve, and that's what people are going to remember you as.
That's a strong
I don't
one.
like to think that too much, because then I start to feel guilty about the decisions that I'm making on the day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
But that's also the responsibility of the discipline
Yeah.
that you need to have.
Yep. I believe you face whatever the challenge is, you face it head on. And personally, I've learned that if I take a day off, it makes it easier to take the next day off.
Yes.
And then the next day off. And then before you realize it, it's been a year and you ain't really started back on that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am of the mind now that every day I'm going to be intentional about what I do. And so I created a plan. I wake up at this time. This is what I do from this time to that time. From this time to that time, I'm doing this. And if the schedule get thrown off,
Mm-hmm. That's what I want to know. What happens when that happens?
my biggest trouble was the workouts.
Mm-hmm.
So I started getting up at 4:30. I wake up at 4:30, and from 4:30 to 7:30, that's when I work out. That's when I meditate. That's when I shower, and I get ready for my day.
Yeah.
Because very few times now do I have to leave the house before 7. Normally I'm leaving 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had to cut my meditation a little shorter or work out a little shorter, that's cool as long as I get it in.
You don't find yourself being really tired in the middle of the day or something?
Extremely.
Yeah.
Especially the first week. I was a dead man walking. It was like my feet was dragging and going up the stairs like, oh my God.
But you still did it.
Still did it.
You got used to it?
At this point, I've gotten used to it. This weekend, we were at this fishing tournament in Morehead City, Big Rock Blue Marlin tournament.
Nice.
And we hanging out, and Friday night, Saturday. I got my workout in Friday morning, so I closed all my rings by like 6. But Saturday came around, and we be kind of sipping all day, eating good food, and at the loading docks, and just having a good day.
Right.
And I looked at my watch, and I'm like, I'm at 850. It's 11:30
At night?
at night.
Oh, no.
You know, at 12 we reset.
Yeah.
My friend was like, so you coming in? I'm like, nah, I'm gonna stay out for a minute. I'm gonna get a quick workout in. He said, what? You know you've been drinking, right? I said, I know, but I said 30 days.
Yeah.
He said, all right, well, good luck to you. And closed the door. Yep. So I got me a little workout in out there and at the beach house. I walked for like maybe 3/4 of a mile, jumping jacks, push-ups, couple little sit-ups, heard a little couple critters like I walked back the other way, and it took me about 23 minutes, and then all rings were closed.
Nice.
So I went in the house, and I was all sweaty.
Drunk?
I was sober by that time.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
So I grabbed a beer and a bottle of water, drank the water, then I sipped on the beer until I went to sleep.
Nice. There you
But
go.
I did it. I got it in.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I'm going to be working on this year is more discipline, because that's really the only thing that I really need to work on right now.
Yeah.
I feel like I got everything else. I know what I need to do. I just need to actually do it. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, I feel you 100%. 100%.
the year of discipline.
Yep. For me, it was be intentional.
Intentional.
Be
Intentional about being disciplined.
Or whatever it is. For you, it's discipline.
Yeah.
For me, it was actually putting the pieces together, and they've come together. I didn't tell you this, but I joined Toastmasters a few years ago because I wanted to be a better speaker, a better presenter. I stuttered a lot. My dad's family stutters.
Really?
So I'm like, how can you doubt I'm your kid as much as I stuttered back in the day?
Right.
And so I still, every now and then you may hear it, but I've smoothed it out, and I'm learning how to really present. And I'm in the middle of a speech contest right now. I've won the district level, which is the state of North Carolina. Yeah. And they took that video, and they're putting it up in a regional contest against 7 other regions or 9 other districts. And if I win that, then I get an invitation to the World Championships in August in the Bahamas.
Damn, dude.
And
what do you win?
Compete for champion of public speaking, world champion of public speaking.
I didn't know that existed.
Hey, man, Toastmasters is in 144 countries around the world.
Yeah, I've heard of Toastmasters. I just never actually knew what that was. You know.
Yeah, it's a public speaking company. Well, they teach public speaking and leadership. They give you roles to be. You can be in leadership, and I went because I wanted to be a better speaker.
Yeah. Do you find that it bled into other aspects of your life? The public speaking, like articulating to your kids, possibly.
not talking in circles.
Not talking in circles.
Not talking in circles.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Trying to get a point across, but I'm gonna tell you 15 stories how to get this one point across. It's being able to be brief with the point I want to make and then move on.
Ooh, that's a big one, man. I feel like your kids are gonna remember that part.
They like me as a speaker way more than they used to.
Yeah.
Well, as a when I would give them instructions, because before it'd be 30 minutes. Now I'm like, all right, what's the goal? What are we trying to do? What are you gonna do? What do you need me to do? Sounds good. I can do it. Can you do it? All right, high five. Let's do it.
Boom. Get
Get
the
them
word
out. Yep. Before I'd be telling them 20 stories of when I was growing up.
This is why. This is why.
Yep.
How about relationship with wife? Good.
Wife is good. This is the first time I've been married because I actually really wanted to do it.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling.
Do those values match up?
Yeah, the values match up
That's nice.
tremendously. And it feels good to be in a space where
It's got to be like a stress off your shoulders.
it
right?
is. I'm happier now. And it's not just because of the marriage, but it's like where I am as a person. I'm happier than I've ever been because I'm on purpose. I found my passion. I feel valued and appreciated and wanted. And I'm building legacy.
Yeah. I feel like you're in the now, man.
I
really feel it.
I feel like I am as well.
Yeah.
I've waited my whole life to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not getting caught up on winning world championships, or I'm not getting caught up on building businesses, although I'm doing both.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying where I am, the relationships. And it's tough now because my children, most of them are older and they're grown. They got their own lives.
Right.
So I don't talk to them as much as I probably should. But I'm in this space where I'm so close to turning dreams into reality that I think I have went a little too far, and I need to come back a little bit to include them. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Well, that's like, it just comes down to choices, right? It's like, people talk about this work-life balance, but it's just about choices. So maybe like 3 months or maybe a week or a few days where you're working on this one thing, but then you want to shift your focus back to your family or something like that, right? So it's just a back and forth kind of thing.
And sometimes we get off balance, and it's easy to do. Like I said, I'm in a happy place and I'm doing all these things, and it's like, I'm forgetting the reason I started all these things.
Yeah, that's a big one too.
I got poked and prodded, and I'm like, okay, I hear you. So now I'm making some choices and I'm shifting back to have more balance.
And being okay with that transition back into whatever it is.
Instead of fighting it, because a lot of people fight it.
Yeah,
and
it's not good.
I've decided, you know what? They're not lying to me.
Right.
They're upset because they want to spend more time. So let's give them more time. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to create a plan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to text at least 3-4 times a week. And so I don't forget, I'm going to do it at these times.
There you go.
When I leave home first thing in the morning, you want to hear from me? You're going to hear from me at 8 o'clock. Hey, Dad. You good? Yeah, I'm asleep. Okay, well, I just want to talk to you. I say I love you. You know, how was your night? Okay, can I call you later? Yeah, sure. Just whenever you get time, give me a call. Check.
Yeah.
But I'm laughing about it because I'm holding myself accountable.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a robotic thing anymore. I want to do it. I see the need to do it, and I know it matters to them.
Yeah.
So
They're really gonna they come to you more when they have issues or have problems or anything good news, bad news.
Yep.
If you're open, they will come.
Yep. And I think one thing too. Sometimes as men, we do dominate a room, especially in our families. Mm-hmm. And when our families see us, whether there's a problem or not, they're sometimes afraid to speak their mind.
Mm-hmm.
They're afraid to really say what they feel because they have a healthy fear of respect because you're their dad.
Right.
And so they don't always speak because they don't want to feel like, you're going to talk bad to them or down them or tell them they're stupid for feeling that way. And so I recognize that in not just my relationship, but in other guys' relationships. And I'm learning to be more disarming these days. meeting them on their terms, on their ground,
Right.
and letting them just let it come as it come.
Do you feel like being vulnerable yourself opens that up?
It does.
Yeah.
Because your children, they see you as a superhero for a long time.
Right.
My daddy can do anything, right? My daddy can beat your daddy up. And as you get older, you know, we wear those things as a badge of honor. But sometimes, and this is the irony of it, at some places you find yourself in competition with your children. Especially if you get to a place in life where you haven't really reached or achieved what you wanted to reach or achieve.
Yeah.
And then your children come out because you taught them well, and they fire on all cylinders, and you see them catching you. You've been doing this for 20 years, and you only making about maybe $10,000, $20,000 more than they're making. And
Right.
you're just like, where did I fail? Where did I go wrong?
Right.
And so sometimes there's a little bit of a competition, a little animosity.
Yeah.
But your son's always gonna come for you. They're supposed to.
Yeah.
How they gonna be king if you still king?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's true.
Yeah. So
Facts. I like that, man.
me and my son, we have a healthy competition going right now.
No, that's good.
Yeah, healthy. Healthy. It's very healthy. And it's not, I wouldn't even say it's a competition per se. We're not like comparing scores or anything.
Right.
But
It's an internalized competition.
I know the moves that I make motivate him. And then I see these moves, I'm like, oh, I like what you did right there. Okay, I'm going to implement something over here because I want to do this too. And so it's like we're not working together, but we're driving each other, whether we actually completely, because I just thought about it just now, this is what we're actually doing.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
It's going to be interesting to see how it goes, but I'm excited for the future, man.
I'm excited for you, man. I appreciate you coming by.
Hey, anytime.
I'm looking forward to more growth from you, man.
Yep.
I honestly can't wait to see what happens.
Well, what's happening next? I start a company called Father Figure Institute.
Okay.
FatherFigureInstitute.com.
Boom.
That's going to be it is a company, and we are basically a resource for men, for fathers, and we're building community. We're building this coalition of men. Because sometimes men, we just need a place to hang out. We need a place to vent. We need the community.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's
Input
hard to
from
be,
other men, right?
Input from other men. And it's hard to be a leader when you're under nobody's authority. If there's nobody that can check what you did or tell you, bro, that ain't cool.
Right.
Maybe consider doing it this way. I tried that path, didn't work out for me, but this is what I did. I got it. Because if you in your own kingdom and you're the king and there's nobody that can tell you anything, then you're going to abuse that power at some point.
Yeah.
And it's going to destroy your home.
Right.
Everything that you're building, you're going to tear it apart with your own bare hands. So that's why Father Figure Institute, my vision for it is to be the #1 resource for fatherhood, for parenting, for men in the world.
Yeah.
And I am excited for what's coming. 'Cause Father's Day is right around the corner.
Yeah.
Yep. And I got some things coming out, launching, and I'm excited about it. So
That's awesome, man.
I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, man. Please do. I'll have you in maybe like a few years later. See how it's been. You'll probably be like blinged out, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, I helped so many fathers.
No, I'm not a flashy dude, but
No, I can tell you're not a flashy dude. But well respected, well disciplined, and a hell of a father.
Oh wow, thanks. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
All right, you
Bye.
too. Peace.
I never know how to end a thing.
Yeah, I know.